Hey guys, what's happening? So for this one, we're back for part 2 of Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong, where come to find out Toyman's plan's working a little too well. So let's get into it. But first, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch the spills every week, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications so we can squat up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so coming back, we continue with what was supposed to be the perfect evening for Clark and Lois after what was a very busy day for Superman. Cause like we saw, Clark set up this evening for him and Lois to have dinner on top of the Daily Planet so that he could get down on one knee and propose to her in the same place that they first met, only for this wonderful evening to be interrupted by Godzilla, which is literally something you don't see every day in Metropolis. So Clark suits up and he makes his way out there to have a friendly talk with Godzilla. And perhaps he should have brought in Aquaman for this. And really, I don't even know if Aquaman could communicate with Godzilla. And all of a sudden now, I'm very curious. But Superman at least gives it a shot, because he tells the big guy that he's not sure if he can understand them or if he can be reasoned with at all. But his presence here in Metropolis, it's by default placing the people in danger. So Superman tells Godzilla that they need to take whatever this is somewhere else. But in response, Godzilla just gives Superman this look that's more like, nah, it's about to go down right here and right now. Cause from what I know about Godzilla, which is mainly based on the movies, and I mean a couple comics here and there, I've hardly scratched the surface as far as the Godzilla comic backlog. But I do know that he fought Charles Barkley at one point, so there's that. And at the time, Godzilla was really hooping too. Crossover, finger roll. But in a fight that turned into more of a training session, Godzilla scooped some Barkleys in an exclusive colorway, and he got some tips on how to improve his game. But nonetheless, anytime I've seen Godzilla, the one thing that has always been constant is the creature's need to let it be known that he is the king of monsters, and that he doesn't play second fiddle to anyone. And sometimes his motivations will only be for him to make sure that others know that. So campy stories aside, you can kind of see how with Godzilla just arriving in Metropolis, he's ready to make that statement and make it real clear for those who may not know. And right here as Godzilla charges up his atomic breath, Superman makes sure to swing first. Cause I mean, what else was he gonna do? Just stay there and wait to get shot? But right after this, as Superman goes to grab Godzilla's tail, Godzilla whips that thing around, knocking Superman through multiple buildings across Metropolis, which takes him out of the fight for a little bit. But Superman's more concerned about anyone else being hurt, which is very much the Superman thing to do. But for me, I'm more concerned about why these people are carrying on like it's a regular work day. Cause one look at Godzilla should have you ready to use that PTO. Just saying. But not too long after, the Flash shows up, and he helps everyone here with the emergency evacuation as Superman gets back out there. And following this, we then see Supergirl, Wonder Woman, Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, and Green Arrow making their way over to help out. And for most of these guys, they're coming from the recent fight with the Legion of Doom that we talked about in the last video. And really it's everyone except for Oliver, who Hal had to go and pick up and carry over by way of this extra medium sidecar construct. But as they're making their way to Metropolis to help Superman, Cyborg tells Supergirl and the others that there's a number of other big problems scattered around in numerous locations, as we see a number of the other monsters from the Godzilla monsterverse showing up in locations directly tied to each hero. Where in Central City we got Scylla, I think it is, the huge spider squid. In Gotham City we got Warbat, which I mean it wouldn't have been right if Warbat went anywhere else. We see Behemoth in Themyscira, and of course Godzilla in Metropolis. And again, just as a really quick reminder, the reason why these creatures are appearing in these specific cities, it goes back to what we saw in the last issue, when Toyman used the Dreamstone to bring them all here so that the Legion of Doom could see the heroes quote unquote play with these new toys. So as part of that wish being fulfilled, it took the main 4 creatures who Toyman saw and placed them in locations associated with these heroes. So as wacky and coincidental as it may look, there is a bit of narrative logic to it. But next, when we head over to Wonder Woman and Green Arrow, at this point with Cyborg updating all the other heroes about the multiple other big problems, they all spread out to the different locations. But as Diana and Oliver are making their way to Themyscira, they discover a strange island along the way that's totally not supposed to be there. So Diana ends up leaving Oliver on this island and making her way to Themyscira, with Cassie meeting her there to help out. Cause for Oliver, being deserted on an island, that's his superpower. And next, when we head over to the Legion of Doom headquarters, we see both Black Manta and Cheetah assessing the situation and confirming that everyone made it back. since the Legion of Doom was wished back alongside of Kong Island. And as it stands right now, they've confirmed the larger creatures in the multiple locations, but they still have no confirmation on the whereabouts of Lex Luthor or Toyman. And for a moment here, Cheetah asks Black Manta about what's going on here and what's the whole deal with this wish thing. So he goes on to tell her that he saw the stone that Toyman snatched up back when they were all in the Fortress of Solitude. And he goes on to explain to her what the Dream Stone is and how it possesses the magical capabilities to alter reality to someone's wishes. And meanwhile, back in Metropolis, we find Lex, who's just woken up at his desk at LexCorp. And for Lex, it almost seems as if, from his perspective, that he's jumped right over here from the facility in the last issue. Because as soon as he wakes up, he's talking about Toyman. And like we saw, the two of them were going back and forth. But as soon as he wakes up, he makes preparations to head down to his bunker to fully assess the situation and find out what's going on. And as it stands right now with Superman, he's still trying to lure Godzilla away from Metropolis, but the big guy's just not going for it. And when Hawkgirl swoops in, giving Godzilla a good old nth metal thump on the head, it hardly phases the big guy. And back over on the rooftop of the Daily Planet, we see Lois is still there and looking very concerned, with Superman looking like a bug in comparison to Godzilla. But eventually Jimmy makes his way up there to grab Lois and get her to evacuate with everyone else, because clearly staying up here ain't safe. And at this time, when we head over to Gotham, both Batman and Batwoman have taken to the skies to go up against the Warbat. And at one point, Batwoman has this close call where she's nearly chomped on by this thing, where we're given another shot of the sheer scale of the Warbat's teeth in comparison. Like, it's wild. And its wingspan's over 400 feet, like it's ridiculous. But both Batwoman and Batman let off some shots to get an idea of how tough its hide is, while Batgirl and Nightwing are just watching from the rooftops. But they discover rather quickly that the Warbat has a sonic attack, which nearly takes them out, but it also gives Bruce the idea that they'll be able to use sonics against it, since their missiles didn't do much of anything. But with Batman and Batwoman up in the air, Nightwing and Batgirl do a bit of crowd control by saving people from falling debris down below, and really just focus on evacuation and safety, while Bruce and Kate try to keep the fight up in the air. Which, as it stands, it isn't a perfect plan, but it's all that they have at the moment. But it comes to a point where Batwoman's like, okay, conventional weapons aren't working, we need to find a weak spot. And as soon as she says that, we see Jason Todd up on a rooftop, stationed with a huge rifle, telling them that he's about to shoot this thing right through the eye. And everybody's telling him not to take the shot, because Bruce doesn't want to bring its attention back to the ground, and he has Cyborg heading back so that he can implement his plan. And this whole time, Batgirl's telling him don't do it, Nightwing's telling him don't do it, but Jason Todd is just like, I'm about to, and he just lets off the shot anyway. And he hits the target. He catches Warbat right in the eye, but it doesn't kill him. And instead, Warbat returns a sonic beam that hits the building, sending a ton of debris down towards the ground. And it's too widespread for Nightwing and Batgirl to get to all the civilians in time. But fortunately, Black Canary shows up, just in time to use her sonic scream and destroy the debris before all these people get crushed. And shortly after she gets here, we find that Red Hood has made his way down to the ground. And it's kind of funny because Nightwing tells him, you know, we all told you not to do that. But Jason's just like, sorry, geez, I thought I had him. And for me, it just sounds like Jason is being so sincere. Because let's be honest, shooting the Warbat in the eye with a rifle that big, I could see how it sounded like a good plan in the moment. And not just that, but Jason made the shot. But apparently nobody wants to have that conversation. But nonetheless, Nightwing tells him that he needs to listen. So Red Hood makes a sly remark about Nightwing actively trying to be Batman and take the lead. So Barbara knocks him out, and Jason's pretty much quiet for the rest of this issue. But right after this, when Cyborg gets there, it's here we see the plan that Batman was putting together. Because what they end up doing is having Cyborg build this sonic amplifier and attaching it to Kate's Batjet so that Black Canary can hop on top and amplify her sonic scream to take this thing out. And as we're shown, the execution, it's a bit fast and risky, because before they can use it, Batman has to get the Warbat to scream one more time so they can calibrate the frequency of the amplifier to match the Warbat's attack. And it ends up working out, because they line everything up and Black Canary lets him have it. And it also gives us this pretty cool shot of Batman walking away as the Warbat comes crashing down, like all of this was just another day in Gotham. And from here, when we head back over to Metropolis, as soon as we get back, one of the first things we see is Godzilla backhand Hawkgirl. And it's just like, whoa, that Zilla hand's strong, isn't it? Out of everything I've seen, this had to be the most disrespectful. But fortunately, Shazam's able to swoop in and catch her before she goes tumbling down. So Shazam sets her to the side for a moment before coming back to the fight, and when he does, Godzilla charges up that atomic breath. And the two of them could just tell by the glow and the sound of that thing charging up that Godzilla's getting ready to unleash hell. But when Godzilla lets off his atomic breath, Superman lets off his heat vision, and their blast is evenly matched. They're at a standstill. So for a moment, Shazam's just like, man, it's too bad I don't shoot nothing out. There's gotta be some way I could tip the scale. And it's right there where the idea hits him. So from here, Shazam flies on top of Godzilla's head, and he yells Shazam, and it knocks the big guy off balance for a minute. But with it turning Shazam back into Billy Batson, he's now falling to his death. So Superman has to swing in and catch him. And the whole time Billy's just screaming like, that was awesome. While for me, I'm looking at this and thinking, man, that was stupid AF, kid. And Superman's pretty much saying the same thing, because he's telling Billy like, no, that was too risky. And he lets Billy know, you need to turn back into Shazam right now. But while Superman's telling this to Billy, this bright light comes up from behind them, and before they know it, Godzilla done hit Superman from the back with his atomic breath, of course. And as a result, this shields Billy from taking any damage either from the hit or from the fall, which now has Godzilla still standing tall, while Superman, on the other hand, is just laid out in the middle of the street with his back blown out. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.